So in today's class, yesterday we saw regular expression. We saw file and directory archiving. Then we also saw volume management. So today, we will be seeing network file system. Network file system, package management, and introduction to databases. So in the databases, we shall look at setting up a database on a standalone virtual machine, all right? And database on AWS, which is managed database service. Managed database service. 1 second, guys. All right, this guy, Sunny. Database management service. Okay. So now let's get started with NFS. NFS. Network file system. Some authors will call it network file share. All right. Network file share. It's very simple. All right. What is NFS used for? NFS is a Linux service that is used for sharing files between Linux to Linux system. Between Linux to Linux system. So NFS is a Linux service that is used for sharing files between Linux to Linux system. Now, by that I mean, if I have two machines, Linux A, and another machine, Linux B. So if I need to share files between these two guys, I'm going to set up a service called NFS. All right. Now, assuming I have the files could be shared back and forth depending on our configuration. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to show us. So this file could be set up such that assuming Linux A is my server. All right, is my server machine, while Linux B is my client. Is my client machine. Client machine. The server machine and the client machine. So if I need to share files back and forth between Linux A and Linux B, I'm going to set up what? NFS Share. All right. So on this server side, I will have what we call, this guy will be called an NFS server, because this is my server. And this other guy will be my what? My NFS clients. All right. Once this setup has been achieved, files can now be shared between Linux A and Linux B. So that's the whole rundown about what NFS is. So without further ado, let's get started. So let me log on to my stuff. Bam. So that's what NFS is used for, to share files between Linux to Linux. So this is what I want to do. I'm going to create two machines. Launch. NFS server. Number of instances, 2. Keep here, Frankie, network settings, Frank VPC, sub 2, security group, Frank SG. That's it. Launch. So one will be my NFS clients. NFS clients. So one is NFS server and the other is NFS clients, as we have in our exhibit. All right, NFS server, NFS clients. Should I okay, I will still get there. I'll get there. No wala. I was looking at if I would have started package management first. But that's okay. That's okay. So we are going to creep into package management. All right. You're going to creep into package management. All right. So let me start with NFS server. So connect, copy. So all right. Which guy is this? Okay, so this will be my NFS server. But before then, let's change the host name. So a host name is a name given to a Linux machine. A host name is a name that you assign to a server. That's a host name. And this host name is this guy. But I want to change this host name. I think it should be under etc host name. Thank you. So guys, if you want to change the name of the server, thank you, is permanently is under /etc/host name. Take note, guys. I want to change this guy to something else. Let me say NFS server. All right. So I'm going to comment out that guy. Comment is with hash symbol, right? Comment. Oh, I'm supposed to use sudo vim because I don't have right to go in there. So NFS server. Okay, so let's save. Now I'm going to exit and come back. So it's still that's not taking it. Bash host name. It's still taking the old name. So it means that I will have to restart this machine. Sudo, because I want that name to take effects. I want that name to take effects. Host name, source /etc host name. All right. Ew. NFS server now. I'm coming, guys. I'll reboot this machine. Sudo power off. Power off. All right, I'll put it on again so that that name will take effect. Okay, so that will be our NFS server. Then NFS clients, let me do the same thing. Connect, copy. So let me use this second tab. Let me change the color so that I'll know which is which. So that I'll know which is which. Shell, new tab. I need novel. All right, great. Okay. So this will be my client. So sudo vim etc host name. So I'm changing it into NFS clients. NFS clients. Save and quit. So sudo power off. All right. So let's restart our server. Start server. NFS server. So so what I did is actually a way of shutting down your Linux machine. All right. To shut down your Linux machine, you say what? Power off. All right. Power off shuts it down. There are other shutdown commands though, but I always prefer using power off. Start instance. IP name, host name type. Wait to instance settings. Okay, NFS server is up. Let's check. Copy. So this yellow page takes my NFS server. Yes. All right, so you can see that changes has taken effect. All right. So take note, guys. If I now type host name, I should have NFS server. So I'll do similar thing with my NFS clients. Is up and running. Connect, copy, come over here, the next tab. This will be my NFS clients. So now have it NFS clients. All right. So far, guys, so this is how you change the name of the machine. Okay, great. Now we want to get started. All right. I want to start with what? My NFS server. So on the NFS server, there are few packages I will need to install to set up what? An NFS share. All right. There are a few packages I need to install to set up what? NFS share. So those packages, let me continue from here. Package to install for NFS, server. So I will be installing NFS utils, and NFS utils lib. All right. So this package should install for me an NFS server. So let's get started. So it's just simple. All I need to do on my NFS server, I'll assume root privilege. All right. I'll now run yum install. So yum install, 1 second, guys. So yum is a package manager, right? I'm going to explain all of that, but just have an idea that yum is a package manager. When we come to package management, I will explain more about package manager. So I'm going to be using don't sleep. Bed. 1 second, guys. So I'll be explaining now. Yum install NFS utils. Enter. Let's check. So it's telling us that this guy is already installed. Now let's check NFS lib. Enter. Lib. Okay. Okay. Let me check something, guys. I'm coming. System CTL status. Oh, NFS. Okay. So on some Linux machine, all right, NFS doesn't come pre-installed, all right. But however, if NFS come pre-installed, all right, comes pre-installed, you can just use it. You can see the service for NFS is there. Okay, the service for NFS is there. Let me add something, guys. I need to add something. System D. So this. Okay. All right. So we have the package already installed, right? So we don't need to install it anymore. So that's NFS server. So let me check the status if the service is running. So the service is not running, all right? Before we go into that, so I think that's that. That's the first step, package install. Now, the second step, steps, all right? Now, second step, modify the NFS, all right? Before we modify the NFS share, create a shared directory. Now, a shared directory means a directory where you are going to keep all your files. It doesn't matter if you're creating it, but if you have a directory that you would love to share on the network, you can use the directory. Create or use an existing shared directory, right? So in this case, we don't have an existing directory to share. Create or use an existing directory to share. Let me remove this part. Existing directory to share. So in this context, we don't have any existing directory. So I can just make a directory, mkdir. So I just make that directory /data, right? So this data directory, I want to share the data directory. Now, that's step 2. Step 3, modify the NFS configuration file on /etc/exports. So the NFS configuration file is located on this guy. So let's finish step 2, then we can come towards step 3. Let me bring it like this. Then we should use vim/etc/exports. Let me start with your step 2. So step 2, create a directory, mkdir/data. I have created the data directory. All right. So let's check that guy. So I have it what? I created this guy. Okay. That directory. Great. Step 3, modify the NFS configuration on /etc/exports. So let's go into that file. Now, go into the file. I'll say vim/etc/exports. That's the name of the NFS file name. All right. Enter. So this file is always empty. It is this file that NFS uses to implement data share. It is this file. So this is the syntax. I will start off with the syntax. How the syntax looks like. Syntax. So the syntax is, there are different columns. This column is shared directory. That's the directory to share. Shared directory. Space, can leave like 2-3 spaces. All right. No wahala. Great. Now, the next column, this is one column of shared directory. The next column will be IP. IP or network address. I'll explain. Network address. Brackets. Permission. So the permission is, okay, access rights, comma. Then there are some arguments that comes with this function. This is the function. All right. There's an argument. So we can say, we can pass other NFS arguments. I can leave it at this level. All right. I'll show you different what's it called? Different syntaxes. So let me give you the example. The example will be /data. I'm sharing /data. The shared directory is what? /data. Now, the IP address. So this IP address is going to be the client IP. The client IP or the network that I want to have access on this shared machine. Let me come again. Here that you're seeing IP address or network address. All right. This thing means if I need to give access, if I need to give access to a particular machine, if I need to give this guy, Linux B, access on my shared folder on my NFS server, I'm going to specify the IP address of Linux B because I only need to give access to what? To Linux B machine. But if I'm running on the network, So for that, now I'm going to specify this guy, Linux B IP address. Now let's check for Linux B IP address. Come over here, which is NFS clients. NFS clients. So this is IP address. Copy it. You have to practicalize everything. So come here. I will paste it. See, I'll now say column. Sorry, comma. Open bracket, please. The access right. The access right could be read only or read write. So let's start with read only. So this is for this what? First syntax. Let me remove network address here. I will do for the second syntax for network address. This is for just IP for a single machine. Now, let me copy this, guys, to YY. Now, the second syntax will be network address. Okay, this could be for read writes. Read writes. All right. It's either read only or read writes. Right? Great. But not these two lines. I'm just showing you different. I'm just showing us different different words. What's it called? Different syntaxes. I can remove it in place of, so I don't get confused. So in place of read only, I'll put what? Read write. So either read only or read write. All right. So that's what I mean there. That's what I meant. So read only. That's the access rights. Now, for network, I'm going to go back to my system and look for the subnets that the network address that I need to give access to. All right. So the network address will be, let me go to my VPC, duplicate. So I took sub2 VPC. So the subnet will be subnet2, subnet sub2. So my subnet address is 10.0.2.0/24. Copy it. So in this to be network address, right? 10.0.2.0/24. You can give this guy read write. These are different syntaxes. So now I have another level of syntax. All right. So that will be assuming I don't want to be specific. I want to share this, my data share, my shared directory to the whole world. Meaning that any IP address, any network address can access this shared data. So this asterisk, that's what it means. So anybody can access the data that I shared under what /data. That's the meaning of this guy. All right. Perfect. So we are still coming. Then, if I need to add other parameters that comes with NFS share. So I could say read writes, comma, sorry, comma, no underscore sub3 underscore check, right? This comma, I will explain of that. No underscore root underscore squash. All right. So now let me explain what these guys mean. So this is to set reliability on this shared directory. No underscore sub3 check. Okay. Let me look at let me see if I can see a help on that, on this option. Let me say man NFS. Let's check, guys. I'm coming. Let me check if I could see a proper definition for those parameters. Let me see. Let's see. No file system check. Okay, you can pass no file system check as well. No FS. Let me see. No lock, no ACL. Let me check. Okay. Okay, see, look at the format here. This example can be used to mount this read write, no lock. But I need to see that part. I need to see that no. I need to see other parts. Other arguments you can pass. Other arguments. Other arguments. Why is it in plenty like this now? Other argument using file locks with NFS. Catching features. Security considerations. Oh boy. Welcome. All right, that's the end. All right, let me just check. Let's check online. Google, let me say no underscore sub3 check. No underscore sub3 check meaning. Let's check what this guy means. All right. Okay, prevent sub3 checking. On local file systems, root usually has full access to directories and files inside of it. But for NFS directory mounted from network, root usually has no permission to write to it. Okay. The reason that NFS directory is non-accessible to root is likely root squash. I see. Now, see what this guy is saying. Let's go back to this our guy. What we're trying to do here. By default, the root user, according to what this guy is saying, there's always a root squash. So by default, there's a root squash. So meaning that if I finally mount this path, if I am on client B and I mount the shared directory from server A onto client B, if I try to access those files as a root user, I might not be able to access them. All right. So that's by default. So for us to be able to access those files as root user, that is why we need to pass these arguments no underscore root underscore squash for it to disable, for it to enable root access. That's one. Then this sub3, it prevents sub3 checking. I need to look at that sub3 checking. What does no root squash mean? What is the difference between no root squash and no or? What is sequence? Well, let me check. Why am I not getting sub3? Sub3. No sub3 check. Prevent sub3 checking. Sub3. So I need to know that what was that sub3. On local file systems, root usually has full access, rewrite to directories. But for NFS directory mounted from network, root usually has no permission to write to it. Okay, guys. Let me now explain. Let me explain. See here. See, that's the design of NFS. Now, what this thing says is, normally, as a root user, you have access, full access to any file or any directory. And the statement is saying that, however, there's a clause. While sharing files over the network, especially with NFS, the root user does not have the necessary permission to read or write. To read or write. To grant the root user the permission over NFS share, we will set the no underscore root underscore squash parameter. Guys, understand this thing with me. Ordinarily, the root has full access to any files or directory. But there's a cliche. The cliche is, if you're dealing with NFS and you need to share files over NFS, the root does not have access. For we to give the root access to the files in that shared directory, we need to set up this permission exports called no underscore root underscore squash. All right. We are going to practicalize it. I'll remove it. And we are going to see. All right. We'll see everything. Now let's look at this no sub3 check. Why is this thing taking time? Prevent sub3 checking. Oh, sub3 checking. Sub3 checking. Sub3 checking. If a subdirectory of a file system is exported, but the whole file system is not done whenever an NFS request arrives, the server must check not only that the accessed file is in the appropriate file system, which is easy, but also that it is in the exported tree, which is harder. This check is called the sub-tree check. What is sub-tree checking? Enables or disables a security verification. That's subdirectories. That subdirectories a client attempts to mount for an exported file system, and once they are permitted to do so. I see. Now let's go back. CO. Let's go back. No, but sub-tree check. This is to enable sub-tree check. Now, what this thing means is all of my files and directories and subdirectories that will be shared via NFS. That will be shared via NFS. Share NFS. All right. I want the clients to have access. Right. I do not want the client to have access to the files, directories, and subdirectories. I think that's what sub-tree check does. It enables verification, right? It enables verification to put a check on the directory. Now, all these files, subdirectories, directories, I don't want the client to have access to them. However, if you need to disable sub-tree check, because by default, these guys are enabled. The sub-tree check is enabled. That's how NFS is designed, so that not anyhow person can access the shared directory and start getting my files. So all these things are security checks, though. By default, they are there. To disable these things, then we use the parameter no sub-tree _ check. So we're going to do all of these things. Let's see the outcome. All right, great. Now let's go back to any question, guys? Let's go back to our syntax. So this is syntax that brought about all those sub-tree and no squash. Okay, so I'll be using the one that does not have this guy, and let's see what happens, right? Then I will use the one that has these guys, and let's see what happens. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to I'll work with all these. All right, I'm going to work with all these syntaxes. Okay, I'll start the network. Sorry, I'll start with the IP address. So let me put these guys. Let me comment out these guys. So I'm using what? This guy. So I'm sharing this folder with this particular IP. And this IP is a public IP for Linux the NFS clients. Let's check one more time. NFS clients. That's the public IP. All right. That's the what? The public IP. So let's check. Great. The public IP. So I want this guy, the NFS client, to have access, only him. All right. So I'll escape and save and quit. We were on step 3, modify the NFS configuration on etc export. Now, once you're done with this, the next step is to run the export fs-a command to export all shared directories, right? That's the 4. So come over here. I'll run what? Export fs-a. Enter. We are done, guys. We are done with setting up NFS server. So all you need to do now is just to create files. Go into that data folder. All right. Create some files. Touch file 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 files there. All right. So if you're using Touch, I didn't show this guys last time. I only showed how to use Touch to create a single file. But if you're using Touch to create file with pattern, all right, file 1, file 2, file 3. So you use this method, right? This pattern, right? Great. Let me create the mkdir. Let's call it finance playbook. mkdir auditing. So I have these directories, right? Directories and files. All right. And I've shared this guy. Okay. So I can also still run my exports fs-a. That's fine. I've exported all directories. All right, that I shared. Now I'm done with what? I'm done with what's it called? Linux A. So I'll go to what? Linux B, which is a client. So I'll come over here. So this side is what? My Linux NFS client. Sudo -i. Now, see you. I want to mount this directory /data on /data on the NFS server towards the NFS client. So let's check if okay, we need to do similar thing. We need to install the NFS utils. Let's check. Yum install NFS utils. Let's check. Great. So there is what? There is an NFS package already installed. There's something I didn't do. Okay, I'll come back there. I'll come back. Let me just do it. Now I showed us something. System CTL status, NFS server. This is the service for NFS. It has not yet started. It's not running. So since it's not running, if I try to perform NFS, I will have error. I will show us. Let me not start it. All right. So let me go back to my clients. So my client now, this is what I will do. I'm going to check for the shared folders, the shared directory on the NFS server. You know why? Because on this NFS server, etc export, this directory is being shared with me. This directory is specifically shared with what? The NFS client. So on my end, I'll run a command, an NFS command, that will show me all the shared directories that are shared on the server side that I have access to. So on this side, I'll run a command called show mount. Show mount -e. Once I run show mount -e, so it's taking a lot of time because the service on the server side is not running. All right. So it will throw up an error. The service is not up. So let me just to cut time. All right. Let's start the service. So I'll say what? systemctl restart NFS server.service. Now let's check the status. systemctl status NFS server is coming up. Let's check now. It should come up sometime. Let's wait. It's loaded. It's now saying active. Let's go back inside. Okay, why not show me color? So it's saying success though. It's saying success. That started. The service has started. All right. Finish NFS service, NFS and blah blah blah. So let me quit. Now let's check this guy. You can see it's timing out. All right, it's timing out. Now, if we check this system too, status NFS server is not running. So I need to start it as well. So I'll say what? systemctl restart NFS server. Now let's check the status. systemctl status NFS server. So it's active and it's up and running. So now let's check. Let's do the show mount again. Show mount -e. Sorry, -e. Export list for NFS clients is not showing anything. Why is it not showing anything? All right, come on. Show mounts, host on NFS, export lists, all mount points on NFS clients. Export lists. It's not showing anything. Now, let's try one more thing. There is a service called RPC bind. RPC bind. NFS uses this service to bind port numbers, the ports to the host name, right? It uses this service to bind the ports to the IP, the ports to the IP, all right? So I don't know if this service is running, but if it's not there, let's install it. Yum install RPC bind. Let me check. So RPC is already installed. So part of packages that you need to install. RPC bind. So I need to check the service. systemctl status RPC RPC something. Let me see. All right, RPC bind.service. Let's check status. It's active, it's running now. It's running. Well, let me check RPC. RPC start RPC bind.service. RPC bind. Okay, let me start everything. RPC bind. systemctl restart just RPC. RPC bind. This RPC bind will start both sockets, targets, etc. All right. So let's try that guy again. Show mount. Let me restart from here. systemctl restart RPC bind. Great. Check your status. All right. All right, they're all running. They are all running. Now show mount again. Show mount. Great. Now let's come back to our server. Let's see what we've done. Let's see what we've done. Let's go to etc export. It's supposed to show. It's supposed to show. All right. Even without. Now, let me remove this part. Let me comment out this part. Comments. Let's now uncomment this part that has all of these guys. Let me check something. Export FS-A. All right. Great. Now come over here now. Show mount. Let's check. Still the same thing. Now, there is a user. Look at now. Let's check the user that has this shared folder. The user is root and the group is root. It means that root has ownership of this directory. But however, there's a particular user that's supposed to have access to this shared directory on NFS. That user is called NFS nobody. NFS nobody. So let me check. That user should be in our etc pass.wd file. So if I go to etc pass.wd, let me check the actual user. That's this user, nobody. So let me try to change the permission on that directory. All right. And see if this thing will work. Let me come here now. To change the ownership, I'll say what? ch own. Okay. Ch own nobody dot nobody on slash data. Enter. I've changed the user and group permission. So if I check that now, I'll see that this guy has changed from root towards nobody. Now let me also rerun my F-A. Let me restart my service system. CTL restart NFS server restarted. Okay, now let's try to do a show mount again. Show mount -E. What are we missing? What are we missing? Sorry, guys. Let me change something. Let me go back to that etc export. Let me open this share to the entire world, to everybody, which is this option. Let me restart my service. System CTL restarts NFS server. So mean that everybody now has access to that shared folder. Let's come here now and do that show mount one more time. Show mount. Okay. Export list. What could be? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? We do show mount. Show mount -E show. This is how we're supposed to get this guy. All right, export list for NFS server on this machine. Oh, I'm supposed to see this guy. Wait, guys. Let me look at the options. Mount, show, mount. Show mounts. This both the client's host name or IP address and mounted directly in host directory for format. This all export show NFS servers export list. And export server list. That's E. That's E. That's E. That is E. That's E. Wait, though. Let me check something. Let me check my security group. Let me check something. Security group. I want to check something. No, it's open to everybody. Everyone. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Okay. Now, let me try to mount. Let me try to mount first and see what happens. All right. Now, to mount, okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for pointing me in that direction. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Now, guys, thank you, Austin, for that. So now, I need to expose NFS service. All right. I need to expose NFS service because ordinarily this thing's supposed to work. I'm supposed to see the mounted, the shared directories that are shared for this user, NFS clients, with just this command. But now I'm just running that guy and I'm not seeing anything. All right. I'm not seeing anything. So this is what I will do. So on this server, I'm going to allow NFS on my firewall. All right. So let me see if I have a firewall. I don't have a firewall installed, so I need to install it. So I'll say yum install. Guys, watch you. Let me add firewall to this topic. Let me add firewall. System D firewall CMD. Firewall CMD. Yum install firewall D. That's the package name. Why? So it's going to install that for me. Let's check the service. System, CTL, status, firewall D. It's not running, so I need to run it. Restart. That started. Let's check the status. Yes, it's up and running. So now let's check. Though we just set it up. So firewall CMD dash list all. So I want to check my firewall rules. This is public rule, right? So on services, I have it that by default DHCP is open, MDNS is open, SSH is already open on my firewall. So I also need to add NFS to my firewall. So this is how I'll do it. So I'll say this is the command, guys, watch. Though we'll talk about it when we get to that topic. It's just a small topic. Firewall CMD, add service. Add service. Now, if you need help, see dash help. You see a lot of things you can actually deal with when you're working with firewall CMD. There are so many, guys. There are so many, but we just narrow it. All right. So this is service option. If you need to add a service, add service. This is ICMP type, IP sets, policy option. There are so many, guys. All right. So let's get started. Firewall -cmd -- add. So there are a lot of things you can add. If I press my tab key now, I'll see the options. I can add forward, I can add forward ports, I can add interface, I can add port number, I can add protocol, I can add service, I can add source ports, source, etc., etc. So what I want to add now, I want to add service. The service is what? NFS. In which zone? I'll press my tab key 2 times to check all the zones. Now, in Fedora server zone, in Fedora workstation zone, in a block zone, in a DMZ zone, in a drop zone, external zone, home zone, internal zone, public zone, trusted zone, work zone. Now, let me come back. Firewall, CO, I want to show that zone something now. CMD -- list all. So this is the zone. This is a public zone. So what we have only here is just the public zone, right? So we're going to add this service to this public zone. Let's go ahead. Firewall -cmd -- add service. Service name is what? NFS -- zone to what? To public. To public. -- permanent. It's supposed to come now. Permanent. This guy is optional, but just add it to. Enter. It was successful. Now I need to check my firewall rule. Let me recall that guy. List all. It's not there yet because I have not reloaded the firewall table. So I'll now say firewall CMD -- reload. Take note, guys. Enter. Success. Now let's check the table again. I have what? NFS added. Now let me restart the service. Systemctl restart NFS server. Restarted. Now let's try to do a show mount now. Show mount -e. Still, it's not coming up. Now let's try to mount this /data directly. All right. So this is what we are going to do. On the client side, run the show mount -e command to see all shared directories from the NFS server. All right. Now, after that, mount the shared directory on anywhere. So this is the command you run. The command is mount space the IP address of the server, IP address of NFS service for which side?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, on which side?
Yeah, so if you do normally for Linux, if you start any service, you go enable them. There's an enable command as well.
No, it started already. That enable is to keep it running. Even see
running.
if I reboot this machine, all right, if I reboot the machine and I boot back the machine, if I check that service, the status will be changed to disable because I didn't put it on. So if I want that service to be running every now and then, even if I shut down the system and bring it back up, the service should be running. All right, I'll need to enable the service. I think it's not related to the challenge we are having.
Okay.
All right, great. Now, mount IP of NFS server. Mount IP of NFS server, column, the shared directory, dir, space, mounted directory on clients, mounted directory on clients. So that's the syntax. So this is what it will be now. So this is what it will be now. It will be mount space IP address. IP address of my public IP is okay, I think something is happening somewhere. Let me use the instead of the public IP, let me use the private IP because they are on the same network. Let me try something. But I shared everything now. I use accessories, didn't show. That's not the problem. That's not the problem. Let's continue. Wait, that please, I'm gonna type that thing. Now mount the public IP. Public IP of the server is this guy. Copy this guy. Oh, undo. Public IP, column, forward slash, the shared directory, all right, data. That's all. Space, I want to mount it on /mnt on my client's machine. So let's try out this command. So let's come over here, come on the client side, all right? So I'm going to run that command. So to be something like this. Mount 34, I still have, all right, great. Column /data space /mnt. Let's see what happens. It's like it's mounted. Now let's check the content of this guy. If I go into MNT, list the contents. Hello guys. Do you see this file? But why was this not coming up? That's my concern. Now you can see these same files that we have. We've mounted these files from this server into this directory. Now look at now. ls/data. So these are the same files that are on the server machine, that we have successfully mounted to the client machine on this part. But why was no, it don't change now? No, right? It's supposed to show me something. Now let's revert a lot of things that we did. All right, I'm going to revert so many things that we did. Let's go back. So the first thing I did was changing the ownership to nobody. I'll change it back. Chown. All right. Nobody body on data should be back now. I've changed. Sorry. To roots. It has to be roots. Don't waste our time for you. Roots. All right. So it's back. Now I need to remove firewall. All right. Let me stop firewall. systemctl stop firewall. Stopped. It's not operating. Firewall is not operating. Let me also disable it. systemctl disable firewall. It has been disabled. All right. Now, what else did we do? Go into this file, etc export. So this guy is open to the entire world. So I don't want this guy to be open to the entire world. Just only for this guy. All right. Read only. Escape. Save and quit. Now restart systemctl, restart NFS server. Started. Now, let's come back here. We still have these guys here now. Let me unmount it. Unmount/mnt. You say it's busy. It's busy. Let me forcefully unmount it. Still busy. Man unmount. Let me check how to forcefully -F. Force and unmount. That's -F now. It's showing busy. It's showing busy. Showing busy. Then. Let me try it one more time. So if it's showing busy, let's look at for the process. Let's find the process. AUX, grep, NFS. So these are all the processes that is keeping that guy busy. All right, guys. So I'm going to kill this NFS process. PQ, NFS. Now let's check the process. Is dead. Let's check. Now let's unmount now. I've seen why it is showing busy. I've seen why it is showing busy. Do you know why? Because I'm the same directory. I'm trying to unmount that directory. See now, PWD. This is where I am. I'm inside of that directory. Just like you are inside the water, and I don't know how to explain that analogy. All right. Okay, you are on the branch. Thank you. You're on the branch to a tree of a tree. Now, this is a tree. This is a tree. This is a tree. All right. Now, somewhere, this is a tree. This is a branch of a tree. Then you are somewhere here. This is you here. This is you. This is your location on this branch. And you are trying to cut this part. So it means that if you cut this part, definitely you're going to go down with that branch. So that's what is at playing in this place. So what I'll do, I'll just go a step backward. I'm out of that directory. Now I can unmount it. Are you seeing it? It's unmounted. If I check the content of that guy now, it's empty. Now let's try to mount it again because of the changes that we have made. etc exports. 1 second, guys. Because of the changes that we've made, all right, read only, that's fine. Now come over here. Now say what? Mount. Let me check for that command. History. Here's the command. All right. So I want to mount this guy, copy and paste. Mount whatever that is shared on this public IP into this guy. Let's hit enter. Is it mounted? Now let's check /mnt. So firewall was not our problem. NFS nobody on this guy wasn't our problem. Everything was already set, right? We just needed to run what? The mount command. Just to mount, just go ahead and mount. In as much as you have fulfilled all of these guys on the server side. The next thing is just to mount, and you're good to go. Now, let's now see something. Look, see, if I create a file now, Let me create a file. Let me go to that data folder. Touch finance.csv. Automatically, let me check if this file will sync. Let me check. Let me change to MNT. Automatically, that I've received that file. I have received the file. See you. I created a file. Let me create a directory. mkdir. New dir. Let's check here. LL. I have it here. So anything you do on the server side, he shares folder, automatically gets sync into what? This guy. Now, can I do a write back? A write back means, can I write on the client side? Can I create a file? Let me see. Touch. Client file. CO cannot touch client file. Read only file system. Guys, let's check what we did here. Cat something, cat export. Now, this is what I'm sharing. I only give what? Read only. Read only, Abby. Great. Now, let me go inside there now. etc export. Let me give it a read write. Let me give it a read write. Let me copy and paste. So I'll comment at this guy. Let me give it a read write and see what happens. If that guy can actually write into the directory, you can do a file write back. It's called a file write back. Now, system CTL restarts NFS server. Great. Come here now. Let's redo that thing now. Touch this file. Now we are getting a different kind of error. Before, it was read-only file system. Now I'm getting what? Permission denied. Why am I getting permission denied? Let's check. Now, we are gradually arriving at no sub-3 check, because by default, there is a sub-3 check enabled that will not allow you to write anything back to that directory. All right. So we've seen read only. Now let's see if we can write something into these files. There are these files, right? Let me open one of these files. File 1. File 1. Hello, this is from client side. Escape, save and quit. Read only option is set. Override. You cannot. I cannot. Let me exit. Now, let me try to open it again. Look at this. See, file, read only. Let me remount it because it's having the old option. It's having the old option. Because what we have here now is export. Is read write. All right. So I'll remount it again. Let me check. Let me go out. Let me unmount MNT. Let me remount it. Mount that command. History. Copy this command. Paste. It's remounted. Now if I go into MNT, it's remounted. Let me try and see if I can edit those file again. Vim file 1. It's still showing what? Read only. So I can't. Because by default, this guy is there by default. Sub-3 check. Now let me add this guy. No sub-3 check. Now let me go into /etc exports. So I am going to comment out this part. All right, let me just add, okay. copy and paste. So I'll comment out this guy, then I'm going to add comma, no underscore sub3 underscore check. Escape, save and quit. Now restart the service. Systemctl restarts NFS server. Now let's try that now. Let's try to go into this file. Vim file 1. It's still showing read only. Let me try to create a file. Touch client file. Still permission denied. Permission denied. All right. In as much as I have set what? I have set no sub3 check. Now let me add this no underscore root underscore squash, comma, no underscore root underscore squash. So what I want to achieve a file right back. Restart the service such that I can write from the client side and the server will get it. All right, I can write from the server side and client will get it. For as it is now, I can only write from the server side, which is what NFS is designed for. But now I want to do a write back. All right, what in a situation where I don't have access to the server, all right? But I want to be able to edit the files that are shared with me from my own side. How do we do it? All right. So I've enabled what? Let me cut that guy. Cut etc export. So I've added what? No underscore root underscore squash. Now let's check this guy now. Let me check if I can create touch file. Hello guys. I can create a file because of that word no underscore root underscore squash. Not forgetting that this is the root user. And we were told that what this guy means is that no underscore root underscore squash. Where's that guy? By default, root does not have access to a shared directory via NFS. For root to be able to have access the shared directory via NFS, you need to disable root squash. All right, great. Now we can have a write back. Then let me check this directory. I should have that file, client file. Now, clients want to edit file 1. I'm still getting read only. Read only. Client contents. Escape. Save and quit. All right. I think there's another option I need to add. That option is don't forget this thing. Wait, let me check. Sync. Okay. Is it sync? Are they come, guys? Let's restart the service. Let's restart the service. Now let me check now. Can I edit this file? Perfect. So that option is sync, synchronize, cat etc export. So you must add this other parameter, this argument, for you to be able to do a write back. Now let's do it now. This is client content. Save and quit. Save. Check it now. Now if I come to the server side, file 1 was edited. Let's check file 1. Cat file 1. This is client content. Now the server can also what? Edit that content and say, I see. All right, save. On client side, you will get that file, that content, cat file 1. So everything will be in sync back and forth. Everything will be in sync back and forth. At this juncture, guys, any query? This was NFS. So now, the application of this NFS, case studies, application of NFS. 1, to share files. To share files on the network. That's the basic, the primary application. Now, there was something I did sometime. It's a workaround. Angel, I'll call you back. I'll call you back. I'll call you back. And there was something I did for, there was one of my friend I consulted for. So they needed to set up a disaster recovery system, a DR. Now, they have their main server, and then they need another server as a DR, where everything that is here will be replicated to this guy. And they needed to set it such that they want to share, they want to have a copy in real time. They want to have a copy of the web folder on this machine. They needed to have a copy of the web folder on this machine. So they consulted me and told me everything. So they were just talking about the disaster recovery, this. So immediately I just thought of NFS. That's you. We can actually use NFS server, NFS concept to achieve what these guys are saying. Why? Because assuming /data has your web files, your code, everything that is running on this Linux A server. Now they need to have, they are concerned about the files that are inside this /data folder. They want to be able to have a copy so that if anything goes wrong with this server, they will always have a copy on their disaster recovery server. So I brought up NFS, and it was NFS that I set up for those guys. And when they saw everything was working, guys, because if you drop a file here, touch new file, automatically it will appear here. Touch new file. They were like, what was this? So everything was coming in real time. So that was how I was able to resolve that issue of backup server. So you can do a lot of, you can share a lot of directories, not only one directory you can share. You can share multiple directories. All your important files, wherever they are, you can share them to your what? To your NFS clients. At this juncture, guys, any other query, you can add this as a disaster recovery or a backup server for critical files, So that would be the application of what? NFS server. So this session has been quite long. All right. So let me end it so that we have it as only one recording. Right. Let me not mix it with other recording. So I'm going to stop this guy.